Introduction to Edgar Schein's model. Edgar Schein, a renowned organizational psychologist and former professor at MIT Sloan School of Management, developed his three-level model of organizational culture in the 1980s. Schein's research aimed to explain how culture forms, evolves, and influences business success. He argued that organizational culture is not just about what is visible on the surface, but also about the deeper, often unconscious, assumptions that shape how people behave within a company. Schein's model divides organizational culture into three distinct levels: artifacts, espoused values, and underlying assumptions. These levels represent different depths of cultural influence, from the easily observable to the deeply ingrained beliefs that drive behavior. Understanding this model helps leaders and entrepreneurs consciously shape a culture that aligns with their business goals and values, ensuring consistency between stated beliefs and actual practices. Artifacts, visible aspects of culture. The first and most visible layer of Schein's model is artifacts, which include the physical and observable aspects of an organization's culture. Artifacts can be tangible elements such as office design, dress codes, company rituals, and official policies. For example, a company with an open office layout and casual dress may signal a culture of collaboration and flexibility, whereas a company with private offices and formal attire may emphasize hierarchy and professionalism. Artifacts also include rituals and traditions that shape the employee experience. These can range from daily stand up meetings in startups to formal corporate annual retreats. Even how a company celebrates achievements or addresses failures is an artifact that reflects deeper cultural norms. While artifacts are easy to observe, they do not always provide a full picture of an organization's culture, as they are often shaped by deeper values and assumptions. Despite being surface level, artifacts are important cultural indicators. They serve as cues for new employees, customers, and stakeholders, communicating what the company values and how it operates. However, artifacts alone cannot define culture. They must align with espoused values and underlying assumptions to create a consistent and authentic organizational identity. Espoused values, stated beliefs, and principles. Espoused values represent the principles, standards, and philosophies that an organization officially promotes. These include mission statements, leadership principles, and corporate values that companies communicate internally and externally. Espoused values articulate what an organization stands for and serve as a guide for decision making and employee behavior. However, a gap can often exist between what a company says it values and what actually happens in practice. For example, a company may claim to value work life balance, but if employees feel pressured to work overtime regularly, the real culture contradicts the espoused values. When there is inconsistency between stated values and actual workplace behavior, employees become disengaged and lose trust in leadership. For espoused values to be effective, they must be reinforced through leadership actions, HR policies, and everyday business practices. Leaders play a critical role in ensuring that company values are not just words on a website, but are actively demonstrated in decision making, conflict resolution, and corporate strategies. Organizations that successfully align their espoused values with real behaviors build a strong, credible, and sustainable culture. Underlying assumptions, deeply ingrained, unconscious beliefs. At the deepest level of Schein's model are underlying assumptions, which are the unspoken, deeply embedded beliefs that influence how people think and behave within an organization. These assumptions are often so ingrained that they go unquestioned, shaping decision making, communication, and workplace norms in ways that employees may not even consciously recognize. For example, in some companies, there is an unspoken expectation that employees must always be available, even outside of work hours. This assumption is not written in any policy or explicitly stated, but it still governs behavior. In contrast, another company may have an underlying assumption that failure is a learning opportunity, leading to a culture of innovation where employees feel safe taking calculated risks. Because underlying assumptions operate at a subconscious level, they are the hardest aspect of culture to change. Leaders seeking to shift company culture must first identify these deep seated beliefs and challenge them through new leadership behaviors, policies, and reinforcement mechanisms. By making unconscious assumptions visible, organizations can work toward creating a culture that is more intentional, inclusive, and aligned with their long term vision. How culture is reinforced over time. Organizational culture is not static, it evolves over time based on leadership decisions, employee experiences, and external influences. Companies reinforce their culture through a combination of hiring, onboarding, training, performance management, and reward systems. New employees quickly pick up on cultural norms by observing how others behave and what actions are rewarded or discouraged. Leadership plays a key role in sustaining and evolving culture. When leaders consistently uphold the company's values and demonstrate ethical decision making, employees follow suit. Conversely, if leaders fail to model the organization's core principles, cultural erosion occurs and employees may become disengaged. The strongest cultures are those where leaders embody the values they preach, ensuring consistency between words and actions. Ultimately, culture is reinforced through a combination of formal systems, informal behaviors, and daily interactions. Whether intentional or not, every organization develops a culture that influences its success. Leaders who understand Shine's three-level model can actively shape a culture that aligns with their business goals, ensuring long term growth, employee satisfaction, and ethical decision making.